Hey, this is everyone. This is the aggravated app assessor. I adjusted my screen lock time, so hopefully it stops cutting the recording off. That would be really, really nice if I didn't have to keep re-recording this because the game's like, yeah, you know what? The phone's like, yeah, we're just gonna cut the screen recording off while you're recording it. Is that fine? Why don't you just piss in my face while you're at it? Okay. I have a lot to get mad at with this app. Let's just get into it. This is Mobile Premier League. It's one of those games where you play against other people in small tournaments for money. That's kind of the gist. There's a lot of... I think it's a conglomeration of several apps. I know they offer a Gin Rummy separate app. So, and this is kind of like the hub. So I don't know if that's for any other apps, but it is kind of nice to just have it all in one place. So what are the pros of this app? What sets it apart from other apps like it? Well, first of all, there's free daily games you can play for small amounts of money. You're not going to change your life with this, but it's nice to be able to play for free for 5 or 20 cents, depending on the game you're playing. I remember at one point you could make up to $1 each day if everything went perfectly, but again, that rarely happens. I think it beats ad farming, though, at least. It's better than sitting through that, especially when the ads hijack your YouTube video you try to play on the side to negate the fact that you don't want to watch that ad for the 50th time on a different app. There's a wide variety of games, which reduces monotony. There's also a lot of freebies that they give away. So, there's a daily bonus. You can get gold coins, which can be exchanged for tickets that reduce the cost of tournaments. One time only, though. You can get cashback offers if you deposit, which I never take advantage of because I don't deposit, but if you do, that's nice. There's also these M coins, which can serve as discounts for tournaments. Like, let's just say I wanted to play Snakes and Ladders, which I wouldn't, but I could, potentially. In this case, if let's just say I played this $3 tournament, well, 15 cents would be negated because I have enough to cover that cost with these M coins. So it's nice to have to pay a little bit less to play these games. I was going to say these annoying games. Some of them are annoying, I will say. You can get tickets that cover the cost of part of this 3 times a week if you log in every day, because each one costs 1,500 gold coins, and you can get 4,500 a week, which is nice. Here's an example of a ticket. So it would negate 150 from any tournament I'd buy in, preferably more expensive one that is at least 150 or more, so I get the full use of it. They do expire after a couple days, but you also can unlock them whenever you want. So, it's kind of on you if you unlock them at a time and then don't play. And you can get one every day. So I've stockpiled a lot of gold coins, so I could definitely unlock several days in a row if I really, really wanted to. I will say, too, another important thing is it does actually pay out. And as far as I'm aware, there's no fee. I can't withdraw everything at once because I don't think all the cash has been rolled over. These are probably from free games that I've played, and I haven't played any tournaments to, convert them. But that's kind of standard for a lot of these apps, is you kind of have to roll money over in order to actually withdraw. There is a limit of 50 per withdraw and 200 per day. But, unless you're hardcore, that's no big deal. I typically withdraw at most 10 or 15 at a time. So who cares? I don't withdraw that much, period, hardly, let alone in a week. Let's look at the cons of this app. So, practice. What's a very important thing about playing games for money? Well, you want to be able to practice to hone your skills, right? Well, for some games, you can do that. I think Ludo has a free practice mode. But for some games, you can only do it with the free games they give you every day, which limits the amount of time you can practice. Like for spades. If I wanted to practice spades, I only get 2 free... Okay, there is actually his practice. That's a bad choice. But for draw 4, if I want to practice and get the use of it, I can't do that here. Because notice how I played my 2 free games and it's locked. The only way to play now is to play for money, which isn't really practice at that point, is it? And some games just don't have it at all. Like 3-card flush, you cannot practice. It's just that simple, you can't practice. So, yeah, that's kind of problematic. First of all, if I want to play for fun, why can't I? Second of all, some of these games are kind of complicated. It'd be nice to just practice them and learn the ropes before you play for money, but you can't do that for them. Another problem I have is the rake is really high on a lot of these games. This can be partly mitigated by these tickets or these M coins, which cover a small percentage of the cost. I think it's maybe 1/20th or something. I think it used to be 1/10th, but I guess that was just too much for them. But still, even with this is essentially a $3 buy-in, and you get $5 back if you win. So Doing the math, that's 6 in, 5 out. The rake is 16.67%. That is pretty dang steep if you ask me. And unless you make wise use of the bonus kit tickets and the bonus cash, you're going to be out long term most likely. Games are also often really short, so luck dominates. I mean, some of these games lucks are going to dominate anyway, like Crash Skill or Draw 4/Uno. Those are pretty luck-based games regardless. But for games like Spades, skill should play a role, but not if you only play to 70 points. In Gin Rummy, only play to 50. If you get undercut or get a gin, that's half that score right there. So, yeah, why not have longer games? Why not have multi-round Uno games? I don't get that. One major complaint I have about this app, and that is a major stain on it, is the freaking lack of how-to videos. I mean, they have how-to videos, but a lot of them are outdated and just don't explain how to actually play the game. Except for Gin Rummy, honestly, you'd be better off looking elsewhere on maybe like a how-to wiki article in order to understand most of these games. I mean, some of them you could probably pick up on your own, like Snakes and Ladders. But Spades, good luck learning by playing, and especially 3-card flush. It really is painful if you don't look up a how-to guide on this. And it really is like, why can't they update their videos and make it so people can actually understand how to play? So let's just go over the games really briefly. Not going to go into too much detail. I might do that in a later video for some of these games. Probably will, actually. But I think we've been here a while. I just want to go overview what they have. Crash Skill and Football 100X, I'm going to lump them together because they're basically the same game in a different environment. They're games of chicken. The longer you stay in, the more you get paid, but if you stay in too long, you lose everything. It's just here, Crash, you try to bail from a rocket before it explodes. Football, you're flipping over cards, and if you flip over a bad card, you lose. Basically the same game. Snakes and Ladders, well, if you've ever played Chutes and Ladders, that's the game. You race to the end, and snakes send you back, ladders send you forward. There is a caveat. You can re-roll once per game, and you get free turns for hits. So it's a little bit different in that regard. But still a game that I really don't like because it's completely luck-based. And I don't think there's any way to change that. The game is just a luck-based game, and it's fun for kids, but not fun for money. I also think the free hit thing is way overpowered in a game like this. Like, I mean, come on. They already send you back to spawn. Isn't that punishment enough? No, we got to give them a free turn, too. There's also the fact that there's no spawn invincibility. If you are first to roll, you're basically at the mercy of your opponent getting the same roll as you, because then they'll send you back and get a free turn, and there isn't a dang thing you can do about it. Ludo. If you ever played Parcheesi, that's basically this game. If not, it's a race to the end against other people. You can hit people to send them back to spawn and whatnot. Here, it's a little bit different. It's heads up. There's extra rolls for sixes, hitting a pawn on a square that's not protected or is not part of a blockade. So if there's 2 or more of your allied pawns on the same space, your opponent can land there, but they can't actually hit you. So that's a way to potentially be safe. There's also bonus roll and bonus points as well for getting a pawn home. However, it doesn't change the fact that this is a very luck-dominant game that doesn't translate well to gambling. It basically devolves into whoever's forced to make a bad move first often loses, unless the dice decide to suck off the other person. I've definitely had rolls where I've had several chances to hit my opponent, and the game just refuses to give me a good roll to hit them. Oh, but then the moment I put my pawn in within striking distance, they immediately get the roll they need to send me back. Yeah, extremely frustrating. Would not recommend over a lot of the other games. Same with Snakes and Ladders. It's Draw 4, aka Uno. If you ever played Uno, it's self-explanatory, except that Draw 2s and Draw 4s stack, but not concurrently, so you can't play a Draw 4 and a Draw 2 and vice versa. Kind of ruins the game, in my opinion. It also is annoying that it auto-calls you for Uno. That's kind of a standard thing for Uno, is if you don't call Uno, someone can say, you didn't say Uno, and you have to draw cards. But it's on them to pick that up. The problem with this game is the game just automatically punishes you for it. And it's really bad, too, because if you pick up a card and are in the process of taking it to the deck and realize, I didn't call Uno, you cannot put that card back in your hand, hit Uno, and then play it. The game forces you to play it and take the penalty regardless, which is complete bull crap. Leave it to the other person to call it. If they don't call it, that's on them. Regardless, though, of all my complaints, it's too luck-based, especially since it's a single round where skill just doesn't dominate. It's like playing poker. As Daniel Negreanu once said, if you deal one hand of poker, it's a 50-50 chance who wins. But if you deal 10,000 hands, I'm going to crush you because luck is not dominant to skill in the long term. But in the short term, oh yeah, it is. And this is a perfect example of that. It basically is whoever gets spoon-fed the better hand. They usually give you 3 action cards per game to start, like reverses, skips, whatever. But if you get 3 reverses and they get like a draw 4 and 2 draw 2s, you're not going to win. It's just that simple. And the draw stacking mechanic kills it. It basically takes away a lot of the strategy and just makes you decide whether or not you want a chance playing it and get penalized, or you want to sandbag and wait for them to play first, but potentially lose because you waited too long. BS. Gin Rummy. This game is at least somewhat skill-based. You complete 3 or 4 of a kinds or 3 card plus straight flushes to reduce the card count not in them. If the count's low enough, you can knock, and if it's less than the opponent's score, you score the difference. If not, you're undercut, which can be BS because they can lay cards off on your runs in a lot of cases, and you can get undercut when you really shouldn't have. But that's a problem with Gin in general, not just this game. If all of your cards are part of meld cards, that's straight flushes and 3 or 4 of a kinds, well, then they can't lay off and you get a Gin bonus because that's Gin. I mean, again, it's quite luck-based. There is some skill, but it's quite luck-based, although I suppose in fairness that's a problem with Gin. But the low score of 50 to win doesn't help. Usually you play to at least 100, which at least somewhat mitigates the luck, but not much. At least the how-to video is useful on this one, though, so I'll give it that much, unlike the rest of the entries in this. Spades is you bid how many tricks you can take with a given hand and try to take at least that many, but not over that. Spades are trump and beat all other suits except higher spades. Going over is okay to a point, but it costs if you go too far over. But not making your bid loses points every time, so you kind of want to err on the side of caution. In theory, this should be skill-based, but the problem is the win score is extremely low. It's 70. So again, each trick you take is worth 10 points for a successful bid. So yeah, you can see where that kind of ends really quickly, and it's really luck dominant. Also, another major complaint about this, why can't you nil? Anyone who has played spades will have a complaint with this most likely. Nil is if you think you have a hand that you can conceivably throw off all tricks and take nothing, you can bid 0, and if you get 0 tricks, you get a big point bonus. It's the great equalizer if you just keep getting a bunch of crappy hands and your opponent gets 50,000 spades and keeps bidding high. But this game doesn't allow you to do that. So basically, if you get crappy hands 1 or 2 times in a row, you may as well just quit. You're not going to win. And plus, the how-to, again, is complete and utter garbage. You're better off looking up a wiki article. 3-card flush is their most complicated game, I would say. Probably the most skill-based as well. It's similar to Texas Hold'em, but with significant differences. I'm not going to list them all here because it'd take too long, but one of them is that each hand is only 3 cards, so the hand rankings are swapped around. 3 of a kind beats a straight flush. Straights beat flushes, that kind of thing. Probably my favorite game, honestly, but it also takes a lot of time to understand how to play this game. And the how-to video doesn't help. Like, playing it kind of feels like, you know, if you play against someone and you don't know all the rules and they just pull rules out their arse to try and benefit them whenever it suits them. Like Uno, if they tell you how to play, but they negate the fact that, oh, you need to say Uno when you discard your second to last card, and then they call you on it when you do it. It's like, that's not fair. And that's kind of what it feels like playing this. If you want to practice, I'd advise looking up and downloading Teen Patty Poker and playing for play money, then coming back, because that's what this game is heavily based off of. Don't rely on the how-to videos and don't play for cash, because you'll be sorely disappointed with how the how-to video elaborates things. Does the how-to video tell you that the ace low straight is the second best straight you can get after the ace high straight? Of course not. So you're liable to just punt off all your money with a pocket straight and then find out the hard way that person with 2-3 and the ace on the board beats you. Overall, I'd say it's a 5 out of 10. It's not the worst app I've ever seen, but it has some serious flaws. The many games and freebies are a major plus, and I've made money off of it, so it does cash, which is nice. And some games are unique to this app, which is also nice. However, the games are too short, as I mentioned a lot of times, so luck dominates, and it sucks. Rake is really high, and while it can be somewhat mitigated with freebies, you're still going to be battling that long term. Also, I can't get past the fact that the how-to videos are complete and utter garbage. They really just don't tell you how to play the games. So that, coupled with the fact that you can't practice in a lot of these games, especially the more complicated ones where it would benefit you, like 3-card flush, that's a major issue. Because that means the only way to learn is the hard and costly way. Unless you want to go to some sort of wiki article outside and then come back. But why should you have to do that? They should just develop the app to explain the games properly. That is a major problem that they don't do that. Anyways, that's kind of this review. I'll try to touch on a lot of these games in more depth in a later video, though, so don't go too far.